Hey, I'm back in the bee yard today, and we're going to be continuing part 2 in the renovations of the Homestead bee yard, so stay tuned. Hey folks, welcome back to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host, Jerry Hanson. I want to welcome you guys to my little apiary. This is where I keep honeybees. Right now I have 2 colonies of honeybees. These are a Saskatchewan breed of bee, or hybrid breed of bee that was developed out of Canada. I chose this breed for my homestead due to the climate. These bees would be more acclimated to a moist, colder climate, which is what we have here in the Cascade Ranges up here in the Pacific Northwest. So I've had my beehives on these singular poles. I had 4 of them set up, and I decided it just wasn't working for me. There's a couple of problems. Number one, the pole was too high. I'm lowering the beehives. And also these poles were kind of unsteady because I noticed since they're so tall, as I stack the boxes and they get laden with so much honey, it adds so much weight because one box loaded with honey is really heavy. And so you multiply that and then it becomes top heavy and it starts tilting. When we have rains, it softens the ground, and yeah, these posts start tilting. So what I'm doing is I'm renovating my bee yard and getting away from this concept. With one of the posts, I just removed it altogether. I left 2 posts in the ground. I'm cementing them in, and I'm creating a big cement footing to give it more stability. So we're leaving them in the same hole. We're filling the hole, backfilling the hole with cement, and I built a frame on which to pour the cement. It's 3 foot by 3 foot inside dimensions, so each foot will be exactly the same, and I'm positioning them where they're going to be staying. Now, I'm only reducing down to 2 poles. What I did is I reduced the size of the pole from 3 feet high down to 2 feet high. Now the poles are 2 feet from the ground level. I've got 2 rails I'm going to be fixing to those posts, but let's get the cement poured first, and then we'll paint and then attach my posts or my rails. Now, I know some of you are asking yourself, now that's an unusual way that Jeremy is handling cement. Well, that's one of the ways I found that's really easy to do cement without having to mix it. Because if you notice when you accidentally leave just a bag of cement out and it rains and then the sun comes out and when you go get your cement, it's hardened, solidified through and through. Well, you didn't mix it. It just laid in the rain and the moisture soaked in throughout the whole cement bundle and had its molecular reaction with the silica and other ingredients in the cement, so it bonded. So what's the difference in leaving a bag of cement out in the rain to just pouring it where you want it and then creating some artificial rain to let it sink in and set up? So that's the method I observed that is working for me. And behold, we have a nice footing that I poured, and it was relatively easy. If you watch the series of me building the billy goat barn and also watching me lose the weight throughout that series, you'll note that I made the cement pads over there with the same method of just pouring the dry concrete, wetting it down, pouring it, wetting it down, pouring it, wetting it down. But I want to say something important is soak your ground first with water. Make sure your ground's good and soaked, then pour your cement so it's going to start wicking that moisture out of the ground into the cement, so it'll start wicking from the bottom up, and then as you spray around the top, it'll wick from the top down. And pretty soon it'll completely be saturated and set up. So this has been here for several months. It's holding firm and steady. There's no decay, cracking, or chipping of the cement. So it's evidence it works. So I got all my rails cut and all my spacers cut up also. So when I get ready to assemble it, I'll explain to you why I measured the way I did and how it's going to work best for me. So we're going to set and let the cement dry, and I've got to go get some other work done on the farm. And then we'll come back to this later today once it's set up, and then we'll remove the form and then put my rails up. I'll paint everything first before we apply the rails. So let's get back to this in a video second. Okay, I'm satisfied that this cement base has set up. I've left it for several hours and went off and did a couple of other activities. You'll see the activities I did in future videos because I'm wearing the same clothes in those other episodes, so you can get a hint on, yeah, I'm multitasking. Anyway, gonna go ahead and remove the frame from this base and we'll start adding the rails. I wanted to point out the flurry of activity going on over at that hive that had sconded and then rehomed itself. That is amazing. And this hive ain't doing too bad either. And the billy goats are entertaining themselves. Happy goats, I like that. Okay, so now I got two 6x6 posts sunk into the ground. The tops of the posts are 2 feet above the grade level of the ground. And they're level from post to post. Now I need to find the centers of each post. Now I've got two 10-foot 2x4s. These are pressure treated so they don't decay under high moisture content. And those are going to span the 2 poles. And I've got 10 of these 2x4s that I cut exactly 18 1/4 inches And there is a reason why I cut them 18 and a quarter. Actually, they're, they're 18 and 3/8 inches long, each of them, all 10 of them. There's a reason why I cut it 18 and 3/8 inches. I'll show you as we develop this project. So the next goal is to find the center of at least one of these. 9 and 3/16 is the center. 1, 2, 3. Okay, there's my center. Now I'm taking my T-square and I'm going to mark a line to the center. Now I only need to do this to 4 of them, so let's grab 3 more and we'll find our centers. I'll make it easy on myself. Here's the center of my first one. Make sure these are all lined up. Line this up with the center pole of that centerpiece. And I found my center on all 4 of them. Now I got my center mark here, and now I'm just going to set this flush with the top there and drive 1 screw in, just 1. And I want to do the same with the other side. And now I have to find the exact positions for these top poles. We'll start out 10 inches. 9 inches, so we got to come this way 1/2 inch. So we got 9.5 inches. So I mark my board and this one. And here's why I only put 1 screw in, because I want to turn these up, position the board on top, line my mark up with the outside, set the first screw, set the other screw, And now we level it this way, because I know it's leveled this way. And now we level it this way. And I do the same to all the posts. Both posts and also the beams. Okay, the spans here, the rails are 10 feet by 21 1/4 inches. A hive, I'm fitting 4 hives on here. So the 4 hives are going to be evenly spaced. Between each hive, I'm spacing them 17 inches along the whole length of it, so they'll have an even space. That way, when I do my inspections, I have room to work between the hives. So let's get my lines drawn. The reason for those lines are the placement of these other boards that I need to put in here to place hives on. Now those boards are going to be important later on in the build. Just wait, I'll show you when we get there to that point on my innovative jerry-rigged forethought process I was been planning out. Now I've got to find my center lines at 10.5 inches here. Just this doesn't have to be exact. This is just an approximation of where the center is. And now I've got a wood drill bit for wood, and I'm going to, I chose the size. There's a reason why I chose this size. You'll see as the plan evolves. Now I'm going to use my corner marks, and I'm going to drill holes underneath at the center of each board. I'm only going about 1 to 2 inches in. It's time to apply the paint. Yeah, Pine Meadows Hobby Farm colors. Okay, the stand is done. Okay, now that I've completed the stand, we're gonna let the paint dry. I gotta run to town and get another component for the stands. And I'll be back in a video second, and we'll assemble the hive stand and bring all the hives together on the stand. And you guys can see my innovations and what I had imagined to how to put this together and keep the bees safe. So stay tuned. We'll be back in a video second. Okay, the paint is dry, and now we can start moving the beehives into place. So let's do that now. So now you'll see why I have these spaced the way I do. They fit exactly a base board, and I'm just going to make the bases flush with the back of it, and the front they can hang over. And we put this deep on, and we put this one on. And now I could show you why I have it this wide. So while I'm inspecting my frames, I could set my frames down right here. I have frame storage right here, which works out perfect. That's why I designed it this way. There's another reason why I have it this wide is when I take and inspect the boxes and I'm done, I can lift the box off and there's room to set it here next to the other hive without impeding this one, so I can now take and inspect these frames and place them over here. So I have one of two sides to be able to work with when I'm doing my beekeeping. So that's why I incorporated all of this into this one stand. So there's another feature I built into this, and I promised you guys I would explain it when we get to it. Well, we're to it. Okay, the night that the fires started in our valley, we had hurricane force winds. Rare wind event, and we had them 2 days in a row. So those flames, or that hurricane force wind, it was what started a few of the fires, but then when the other fires started, the main Alameda fire, yeah, the high winds just blew the fire right on down through the valley and just torched 4 communities. Well, half of one, all of 2, and part of another one. So I came out the next morning and was feeding my livestock, and I found 2 of my hives blown off of their stands laying on the ground. I didn't think we were ever going to get winds that strong that hits here. That was a freak. So what I'm doing is I went to the store and I bought cargo straps. That's right. We're going to strap these suckers down, so in the next rare hurricane event or high winds event, I'm ready. These things are all tied down, and they won't go anywhere. And God forbid, even if a bear gets in here, he can't tip it over. Hopefully. So this is going to explain those little holes that I drilled up through the middle of them. I drilled them big enough to receive one of these hooks. So I just push the hook in the hole, put the hook in the other hole, Now my hives are safe, strapped down in case of high winds, and they're also level, perfectly level, and hopefully this will make some nice, happy honeybees. Okay, let's get this out of here. Probably use those on another project. So my new honeybee stand is completed with some innovations that I added to it for my convenience as a beekeeper. And it reduces the amount of equipment that I need in the bee yard because I've built it in to the system already. I got some hive inspections done today. In addition to completing this, I reduced the hive sizes down for winter. My next project is to build those styrofoam boxes to slide in over the top of them, and that will be the winter cover for the hives. So stay tuned for that show and some beekeeping, getting ready for winter in a future episode. I'm your host, Jerry Hanson, in the bee yard with a brand new honeybee hive stand. A lot more stable. Please stay tuned to more videos. You could do that by subscribing and clicking that bell icon. That alerts you to new videos as I upload them. Another thing you can do for me is like the channel, give us a thumbs up. Also, click that share button. Sharing our videos on your social media platforms really helps out the channel. And leave a comment, question, compliment, I don't care. Just remember to stay safe, and please always be kind. We'll see you guys, all right? Bye-bye.